I was 42, divorced, and hadn't felt truly seen by anyone in years. Then I met Dr. Elena Morrison during what should have been a routine appointment. What happened in that sterile examination room wasn't in any medical textbook. It was the beginning of something I never knew I needed. This is the story of how a professional consultation became the most intimate connection of my life. Some appointments change your health. This one changed everything. I sat in the waiting room of the women's health clinic, mindlessly scrolling through my phone while trying to ignore the anxiety coiling in my stomach. It had been 3 years since my last gynecological exam, 3 years since my divorce from Marcus, 3 years of burying myself in work and pretending I didn't need anyone. Sarah Mitchell? A voice called my name, smooth and confident. I looked up and felt my breath catch. Dr. Elena Morrison stood in the doorway, her dark hair pulled back in a professional bun, wearing scrubs that somehow looked elegant on her athletic frame. She was probably in her late 30s, with sharp cheekbones and the kind of presence that demanded attention without asking for it. "That's me," I managed, gathering my bag and following her down the hallway. Her office was different from what I expected, warmer, with soft lighting and abstract art on the walls. She gestured to the chair across from her desk, and I noticed the way her eyes crinkled slightly when she smiled. "I'm Dr. Morrison, but please call me Elena," she said, settling into her chair with an ease that immediately put me at peace. "I see this is your first visit with us. What brings you in today?" I explained the routine nature of my visit, stumbling slightly over the words. There was something about her direct gaze that made me feel simultaneously comfortable and completely exposed. And we hadn't even gotten to the examination yet. Elena listened intently, occasionally jotting notes, but mostly just present. When was the last time someone had really listened to me like this? "I also see you marked divorced on your intake form," she said gently. "How are you managing with stress, sleep, self-care?" The question caught me off guard. Most doctors never ventured beyond the physical. "I'm managing," I said, the lie transparent even to my own ears. Elena's expression softened. "Sarah, I know we just met, but I want you to know that this is a safe space. Your whole health matters here, not just what I can see in an exam." Something in my chest loosened. When she stood to lead me to the examination room, I found myself noticing things I shouldn't. The graceful way she moved, the subtle scent of her perfume, the warmth in her voice when she explained each step of the process. "I'll step out while you change," she said, handing me a gown. "Take your time. There's no rush here." As the door clicked shut behind her, I sat on the edge of the examination table, my heart racing for reasons that had nothing to do with medical anxiety. Something about Elena Morrison had reached past all my carefully constructed walls in less than 15 minutes. I didn't know it then, but that examination table would become the place where everything I thought I knew about myself would be gently, irrevocably dismantled. Elena knocked softly before entering, giving me those extra seconds to compose myself. I sat on the examination table, the paper gown crinkling beneath me, suddenly hyper-aware of every inch of my exposed skin. "All set?" she asked, her voice gentle as she washed her hands at the small sink. I nodded, not trusting my voice. What followed should have been clinical, routine, forgettable. Elena was nothing but professional, explaining each step, asking permission, ensuring my comfort. But there was something in the way she touched me, even through the latex gloves, that felt different. Careful. Reverent, almost. "You're very tense," she observed quietly, her hand resting briefly on my knee, a gesture of comfort that sent an unexpected jolt through me. "I know this can be uncomfortable. Just breathe with me, okay?" I watched her face as she demonstrated a slow inhale, a longer exhale. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment, The clinical distance wavered. Something passed between us, unspoken and electric. "That's it," she murmured as I followed her breathing pattern. "You're doing great, Sarah." The examination itself was brief, but every second felt magnified. I found myself studying her face, the concentration in her dark eyes, the slight furrow of her brow, the way her lips pressed together as she worked. When her fingers pressed gently during the internal exam, I had to close my eyes against a sensation that was entirely inappropriate for the situation. "Almost done," Elena said softly, and I heard something in her voice, a slight breathiness that wasn't there before. Was I imagining it? When she finally stepped back and peeled off her gloves, I felt the loss of her proximity like a physical thing. "Everything looks healthy," she said, her professional mask sliding back into place as she made notes on her tablet. But her hand trembled slightly. I noticed. "You can get dressed and meet me back in my office. We'll discuss everything." Alone again, I pressed my palms against my burning cheeks. What was wrong with me? I'd just gotten inappropriately aroused during a pelvic exam, by a woman, by my doctor. I'd been married to a man for 15 years. I'd never questioned my sexuality, never wondered, never even been curious. Yet here I was, pulse racing, body humming, with an awareness I couldn't name and didn't want to examine too closely. When I returned to her office, Elena was standing by the window, her back to me. Her shoulders were rigid, and she didn't turn immediately when I entered. "Elena?" I ventured. She turned slowly, and the look in her eyes stole my breath. There was a war happening behind those dark irises, professionalism battling something raw and honest. "Sarah," she began, then stopped, started again. "I need to say something, and it's completely inappropriate, but I think if I don't say it, I'll regret it for the rest of my life." My heart thundered. "Okay." I felt something in there. Not medically, personally, and I think you felt it too. The admission hung between us, dangerous and thrilling. "Yes," I whispered, "I did." Elena's confession hung in the air between us, heavy with possibility and danger. She moved back to her desk, putting professional distance between us, but her hands gripped the edge like she needed the support. "This is completely against protocol," she said, her voice strained. "I could lose my license, you're my patient, and I should never—" She stopped, closing her eyes. "But I can't stop thinking about the way you looked at me." I should have left, should have filed a complaint, switched doctors, forgotten this ever happened. Instead, I heard myself say, "I've never been attracted to a woman before. I don't understand what's happening." Elena's eyes opened, and the vulnerability in them mirrored my own. "I've been out since college. I've had relationships with women, but I've never felt anything like what I felt touching you. Even in that clinical context, it terrified me." "I'm terrified too," I admitted, "but not of you, of myself, of what it means that I wanted your hands on me, that I want them on me again, without the gloves, without the pretense of medicine." The words escaped before I could stop them, bold and honest in a way I hadn't been in years. Elena's breath caught audibly. "Sarah, we can't—" "I know," I interrupted. "You're my doctor. It's inappropriate. It's unethical. But I'm sitting here in your office, and all I can think about is what it would feel like if you kissed me." Elena stood abruptly, pacing to the window. Her reflection in the glass showed the same internal battle I was fighting. "I could refer you to another physician. Dr. Patterson is excellent. She could—" "Is that what you want?" I challenged, surprised by my own boldness. She turned, and the raw longing on her face gave me my answer. "What I want and what I should do are two very different things." I stood, closing the distance between us until only a foot separated us. This close, I could see the gold flecks in her brown eyes, smell the subtle mint of her breath. "Then help me understand something, Elena. In that examination room, when you touched me, was it just me who felt that connection? Her jaw clenched. No. God help me, no. It wasn't just you. Then what do we do? I whispered. Elena reached up slowly, her hand hovering near my cheek but not quite touching. The air between her palm and my skin felt charged, electric. I transfer your care to another doctor immediately, and then... She swallowed hard. And then we explore this, whatever this is, without the ethical complications. And if it's nothing? I asked, though my racing heart already knew better. If it was just a moment? Her hand finally made contact, cupping my cheek with a tenderness that made my eyes burn. Sarah, I've been a physician for 12 years. I've examined thousands of women, and not once, not ever, have I had to leave an examination room to compose myself because I was shaking. The admission broke something open in me. I leaned into her touch, and she didn't pull away. I'll have my office manager call you tomorrow, Elena said quietly, her thumb brushing my cheekbone, with Dr. Patterson's information and my personal number. Okay, I breathed. She withdrew her hand slowly, reluctantly, and stepped back. The loss of contact felt like grief. You should go, before I do something I can't take back. I gathered my things, my body humming with unfulfilled longing. At the door, I turned back. Elena stood rigid by her desk, looking like she was holding herself together by sheer will. Elena, I've never wanted to kiss someone so badly in my entire life. Her composure cracked. Go, Sarah, please, before I forget every oath I ever took. I left, but I knew, we both knew, this was just the beginning. 3 days later, I sat across from Dr. Patricia Patterson, trying to focus on her medical questions while my phone burned a hole in my pocket. Elena's number was saved there, waiting. I'd stared at it countless times, but hadn't found the courage to dial. Dr. Patterson was competent and kind, but she wasn't Elena. No one was Elena. When I finally got to my car, my hands shook as I pulled out my phone. Before I could second-guess myself, I typed, "This is Sarah. Is it too soon to call?" 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, I've been waiting. Tonight? There's a wine bar on 5th Street, 7 p.m.? I arrived 15 minutes early, nerves jangling. Elena was already there, tucked into a corner booth, wearing jeans and a soft sweater that made her look younger, more approachable. When she saw me, her face transformed with a smile that made my chest tight. "Hi," she said, as I slid into the booth across from her. "Hi." I couldn't stop smiling, feeling like a teenager on a first date, which, in a way, I was. The wine helped ease us into conversation. We talked about everything, her childhood in Boston, my failed marriage, her coming out story, my awakening confusion. With each passing minute, the connection I'd felt in her office deepened, becoming something more textured and real. "Can I confess something embarrassing?" Elena asked after her second glass of wine, a flush coloring her cheeks. "Please." "I went home after your appointment and called my best friend. I told her I'd just met someone who made me forget how to be professional. She laughed at me for 20 minutes. I grinned. I called my sister, told her I thought I might be gay at 42. She said finally and hung up. Apparently, she's been waiting for me to figure it out since high school." Elena laughed, the sound rich and genuine. "Really?" There were signs I apparently ignored. "And now?" Elena asked quietly, her eyes searching mine. "Now I can't stop thinking about what it would feel like to kiss a woman, to kiss you specifically." The air between us shifted, charged with the same electricity I'd felt in her office. Elena's gaze dropped to my lips, then back up to my eyes. "Do you want to get out of here?" she asked, her voice low. My heart hammered. "Yes." We drove separately to her apartment. a gorgeous loft space with exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. The moment the door closed behind us, we stood facing each other, the weight of the moment pressing down. I haven't done this before, I admitted. I don't know. Elena stepped closer, cupping my face with both hands. We don't have to do anything. We can just talk. Just. I kissed her, closed the distance and pressed my lips to hers, and it was like coming home to a place I'd never been. She made a small sound of surprise that melted into a sigh, her arms sliding around my waist to pull me closer. The kiss was gentle at first, exploratory, then deeper, more urgent. Her lips were soft, her touch confident but tender. When her tongue traced my lower lip, I gasped, opening to her, and suddenly I understood what I'd been missing my entire life. This, this was what desire felt like. This consuming, desperate need to be closer, to touch and be touched, to dissolve into another person. We broke apart, both breathing hard. Elena rested her forehead against mine. "Oh," I whispered. "Yeah," she agreed, a smile in her voice. "Oh, I'm definitely gay." She laughed, pulling back to look at me with such tenderness it made my throat tight. "Welcome to the club. We have excellent music and much better orgasms." I blushed furiously, and she kissed me again, slower this time, like we had all the time in the world. And maybe we did. 6 months later, I moved into Elena's loft. A year after that, she proposed during a weekend trip to Provincetown. I said yes before she finished asking. People ask me sometimes if I regret not figuring this out sooner. The truth is, I arrived at Elena's door exactly when I was meant to, wounded enough to be open, brave enough to leap, and ready enough to land in the arms of a woman who saw me completely. That examination changed everything. It cracked open a version of myself I didn't know existed. One who loves freely, desires honestly, and finally feels whole. Some love stories start in coffee shops or dating apps. Mine started on an examination table with a woman whose healing touch reached far deeper than medicine ever could. Did this story resonate with you? Have you experienced a late-in-life awakening about your sexuality? Or do you believe love can find us in the most unexpected places? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone, and your stories matter. If you want to read more stories about finding love when you least expect it, follow for weekly updates. Your support means everything. Rainbow Sparkle.